I don't know why this even needs to be said, but I guess it does. If you're in the early stages of dating, there is a huge difference between being honest and upfront and trauma dumping. You don't need to dump the trauma on the person you're trying to meet as a new romantic partner. They don't need it. You're also not being disingenuous to yourself, right? That's for your friends, that's for your family, that's for your therapist, that's for your close people. And then once you get closer to the person, then you open up. But don't do it early on because it's not going to lead to anything good.
Hey guys, welcome back, or if you're new here, welcome. My name's Lumi, and today we're going to be continuing to look at some more of these uh, trauma and relationship TikToks. So this one, I really agree with him here on this. It's like there's no shame in being open and honest about your past and things that you might not have fully moved past from. Um, That stuff, but like you got to remember that stuff should be reserved for your family, like if you're close with them, your closest friends, your therapist. Like these are heavy things, like heavy subjects that uh, I think need to um, either be handled by a professional or someone who knows or has known you for years, someone who's known you for years will, come from a place of understanding. Like they know more about you, who you are as a person, your personality, your past, and can kind of like see a clearer and better picture than someone you met on like a dating app 2 days ago. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a big difference there. Now, I'm not saying like you can't share those feelings and your history once you feel comfortable enough with that person. Because, I mean, who knows? You might think you've met like your husband or wife and you want to be completely honest with them and open with them. And if you do feel that secure in your relationship, by all means, I think you should. I think if they were truly meant to be, if they like truly loved you for who you are, they would completely understand, And I'm not saying that like all this stuff is easy and everyone will understand. I'm not saying that because it's always a risk, right? But I think in most cases, if you come from a place of love and vulnerability, um, you will be met with love, and understanding. And and I think it can be good for the relationship. It can strengthen bonds, right? Because who knows, the other person might be able to relate to you, to your past, to your trauma, to your childhood, even. A lot of this stuff, a lot of our issues, our emotional issues, our social issues, our anxieties, all that stuff tends to, I'm not saying it always does, but it mostly relates to your upbringing. Um, like, if you watch enough psychology videos, it almost always goes back to, like, the childhood, the upbringing. Um, but, there can also be other instances where it's like, okay, there is like a chemical imbalance in your brain and you need medication or something to help you. But um, a lot of it is like I think a lot of it is nurture rather than nature. At least from what I've heard and my understanding of it all. I mean, don't take my word for it. I'm just some e-boy on the internet. But yeah, um, all I'm saying is like I think if you if you share this stuff with the right people, oftentimes like it'll be okay.
Here are 3 signs that you are in a trauma bond in dating. So, first off, what is a trauma bond? A trauma bond is a strong emotional connection that often happens between one individual and their abuser. Oftentimes, that's formed through a cycle of abuse. So, this person will come off as amazing, and then all of a sudden they start the abuse, which is manipulation, gaslight, putting you down. Then they go into devaluation, and then positive reinforcement. So, the first thing about a trauma bond is it's an intense emotional connection. And oftentimes that can happen through really intense situations that the person feels like their abuser takes care of them. And oftentimes, when you're in a cycle of abuse like this, you will justify the other person's behavior because that's the way to stay in it by saying, well, no, it must have been something I did. I deserve this. I triggered them. This was my fault. And because the abuser can still show up for you in this way, oftentimes the narcissist, that's that kidding of, oh no, see, they do care about me. They do love me. They are there for me, even though they're the ones that are perpetuating the cycle. And so the biggest thing with people who are formed in a trauma bond is that wildly inconsistent. And so there's a cycle of abuse. The abuse can take place, but followed directly after with nurturing and that person making you feel like they care about you and they're here for you. That affection and that inconsistency makes the person that's receiving it think, no, this person's doing it because they know that they love me. They're doing the best for me. And oftentimes the person that's in this abusive relationship will think, I can change this person. I can fix them. I just need to be a better this, or I just need to be a good girl because they really love me and my love is going to fix them. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. And the last thing about this is a difficulty leaving. So despite the abuse, that person feels like, no, this person's for me. They might hide things from their family. They might not even be open and honest to friends about what's going on. And the person being abused can oftentimes isolate themselves so that they don't actually have to talk about how bad things are. And it ends up the cycle just continues to go because the person that's inflicting the abuse is also the person after that will be nurturing and make you think that they love you and that they're doing this for you. All the while what they're doing is they're breaking you down and they're becoming the center of your universe. That way they know you're not going to leave them and they could literally do anything they want. And the way to break this is to work with a professional, to address and to be aware of the cycle first of all. And then to take the actionable steps to reparent, to be there for yourself, to work with somebody professionally to stop the abuse so that you can see this person clearly for who they are and start to show up for yourself as opposed to hoping that they're eventually one day going to show up for you in a way they just ain't going to.
Yeah, I personally can't really relate to this stuff too much. Like I've been in like toxic relationships, but I've nowhere been in like a relationship where it's like extreme abuse, like psychologically speaking, like this. Because what she's saying is like most abusers will, or like most narcissists will put on this like hot and cold act where it's, one moment they're like putting you on a pedestal, you're like the center of their universe. They love bomb you, it's like all these things. They show up for you, and then like they flip it on a switch and make you feel insecure. Like they make you feel like you're, not their priorities anymore. Like it's this constant like hot and cold behavior that really messes with people. Especially if you're like I think it's like the anxious avoidant. No. If you're like insecurely attached, I think is what it's called. This is gonna like keep you on the line, basically, keep you on the hook. And yeah, it can get real bad, real fast. I actually, in my last relationship, we had like I think I've mentioned her in the past. Like my ex-girlfriend had this friend who, she was like all over the place, like emotionally speaking. Like she herself would sometimes give me like, and I'm not even like dating her. I was like just her friend. She would give me like this hot and cold treatment. It was really bizarre. And yeah, I remember hearing about her relationship with her like off again, on again boyfriend, and the things that I'd hear are like really scary. Like I think it got like physical at one point. I don't know. I just kind of heard through my girlfriend or my ex-girlfriend about like what happened, and it got so bad. Like the cops were called several times at their place, and the guy was just like I think they both suffered from like some deep trauma, and they would like bring it out of each other, so it would create like this really toxic and dangerous dynamic. And I think it was like a codependent relationship because they would constantly be at each other's throats, but then it would be like this. Oh, I would see the posts, on her story. She would post like these massive texts, like these walls of text on her story that I'm like, I don't have time to read all this. Like, who's reading all this? Like, it was crazy, dude. Like, I was just like, you're being so open and transparent about this stuff. Like, it's pretty shocking. But yeah, she'd go on and on about how amazing he is or whatever. And then it was like literally 2 or 3 days later, I would see another wall of text about how he's like an abuser, he's a manipulator, he should be in jail, like he beat me, yada yada, like all this horrible stuff. And then again, like a month or two would go by and they were back together. It was like, it was like your typical like, um, again, like codependent, abusive relationship cycle. Um, and I think, referring back to the video we just watched, that's something that you need like the help of a professional to work through and to get past, because that is like some serious stuff, right? Like that takes a lot of work, um, and yeah, you definitely want like someone who's professionally like trained to help you navigate these murky waters.
I love you, but? There is a but? Of course, because I only love you if you do what I want you to do. Wait, what do you mean? It's very simple. As long as you behave exactly the way that I want you to behave, I will love you. And otherwise, I will take away my love for you. That doesn't sound like love. That sounds like control. Well, that's what I learned growing up. Because I only received love when I did exactly what was expected of me. So I'm going to project that same dynamic onto you. Wait, that's not what I signed up for. Look, if I were you, I would listen now. In fact, here's a list of rules that I expect you to follow. You what?
Okay, this one I can kind of relate to. I feel like in my last relationship, my ex-girlfriend put this, yeah, it's like conditional love onto me, right? It's like, well, you're not doing XYZ for me, so why should I do anything that like you like, right? It was like this weird like transactional, like, and it wasn't always this way. It kind of like it got bad towards the end. I think I don't know, she got this weird idea, and I've mentioned this in another video. She got this like idea in her head that like I should be bending over backwards, like basically paying for everything, paying her rent and all these dinners and everything else, like uh, basically be her slave in a way, so that uh, and in doing so, I would get the girlfriend treatment. So it's just like, no, like I don't want that. I want someone who's like actually caring, who it cares about me, right? And I care about them, and there's like attraction and chemistry, and basically I want like and I think any secure attachment will be like, it's basically your best friend, right? Like if you can have, you're basically dating like your best friend, and there's attraction, so there's obviously like the romantic side of it too. Um, and yeah, I think that's a beautiful way to go about it. Like, I think a healthy relationship is someone you can be vulnerable with, who's understanding of you, uh, who you can, confide in when times get tough, who you can joke around with, you know, um, and just go through life through like thick and thin, But yeah, more and more people these days, I don't think they're ready for it, or they don't want it, or they want to just like save it till they're older. Like a lot of people in my age bracket, I feel like are just they're just here for like the hookups. Like they don't really want a serious relationship. Like you'll often see those TikToks of it's like they're like skits, right? But it's basically like saying, well, I'm doing everything, but I don't want to call it a relationship, you know, because that's too much. I'm not ready for commitment. That's just too much. But you're literally doing everything you would be doing if it were like an actual relationship. It's just, I don't know, it's kind of silly. I think it's like a maturity thing for a lot of people. Um, and yeah, they're just not like emotionally mature enough to handle like a real relationship. And it also could be based out of fear. Like a lot of people have unresolved trauma. They have unresolved feelings for previous relationships and uh, ex-girlfriends, boyfriends, whatever. So yeah, I think we all need to do some work. All right, everyone, that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, give me a thumbs up down below, like the video, dislike it if you dislike it. Let me know in the comments what you think. Are you going through anything like this at the moment? Let me know in the comments. Um, and also consider subscribing if you enjoy this sort of thing. But anyway, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Later.